What's up? Unfiltered podcast coming on a Tuesday as I'm on the way picking my kids from school. A couple minutes here to check in real quick. Last night, Monday Night Football, disaster. It's over. Pack it in. White flag. I told my brother last night, there's no point of really getting excited this season. Halfway through that game, I knew that game was over. And the sad part about the Giants' loss last night against Seattle is the score. It's kind of not indicative of the game played out. Like it is, but it isn't. Because as bad as the Giants were in that game last night against Seattle, they still had a chance to I won't say win the game, but they had a chance to make that a game and actually possibly win the game later on if they played the cards right. Seattle's 24 points, 14 of those points were, okay, on the pick six where the Giants were in the red zone with the 5-yard line at the score, whatever it was. And then the other scoring they did for some points, the 6 points were where Daniel Jones fumbles the ball deep in their own territory, and then of course Seattle scores in the next drive, or I'm going to call it a drive, Geno to DK Metcalf. So the Giants, for the most part, at least defensively, were okay last night. They showed up. Kayvon Thibodeau showed up last night. That I could actually, it was a positive of the game last night. That was the positive for the Giants. But my God, that offensive line is fucking terrible. Like, let's just call spade a spade here. That offensive line is fucking terrible. And look, I'm not going to sit there and give Jalen Jones a pass here. Jalen Jones is making $40+ million a year. You got to play better. But he's the only guy that actually did anything on offense, really, that warranted, I don't want to say praise, but that O-line was so bad. I mean, I think Jones definitely gets a lot of blame for last night's game, and we're going to go there with that. But that O-line Jones wasn't the problem last night. Wasn't the main problem last night. The main problem last night was the O-line. And if I don't give a shit what kind of quarterback you have. I don't care if you're Tom Brady, Joe Montana, Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes. If you don't have time to throw the ball and your line played as bad as that line did last night, I don't give a fuck who it is. You are not winning games. Bottom line. They were dreadful last night. So, because of that, the 1-3 now. A couple of weird stats, a couple really bad stats here for New York too. Through 4 games in the first half, the Giants have gotten outscored 77-9 in the first half of football. That's dreadful. Okay, 2 home games this year against Dallas and now against Seattle. They have lost a combined score of 64. The card's right. 64-3. Like this is not real life. But yeah, this is a quarter sample of football ahead of us right now. Behind us so far. This team's terrible. This team's a bottom 5 team. I'm gonna put up my rankings on the Huddle Up podcast tonight later on. You guys check it out tonight on the Huddle Up podcast feed on YouTube, on any of the social medias, Facebook, YouTube, whatever. I'm gonna have it out there, and I'll just give you a little bit of tease on the curtain. They're bottom 5 team. The season's over, guys. Season's over. If you're a Giant fan, don't even. If I'm Saquon Barkley, why would I even bother trying to play football right now at this point? I would save my legs for another contract next year. Season's over. They're 1-3. They're not winning the division. The wild card at this point in the NFC. Every team. I can argue that the Giants are the worst team in football. I can argue that. I'll probably still put them ahead of the Bears. I'll probably still put them ahead of. Well, they beat the Cardinals once, but I guarantee if they play the Cardinals again this week, they would lose that game outright, straight up. This is called spade a spade. Probably Carolina as well too. The season's over, guys. The 1-3. And now they got on the road for 2 wins, for 2 games against Miami, which I'm not attending for the record. People ask me if I'm going to that game. No, I'm not going to that game. First off, tickets are egregiously expensive, number 1. So that's not happening. And number 2, I am not wasting money on this product. Sorry, not doing it. Miami is not only is Miami a better team, they're going to be seething off this loss to Buffalo this past week. Okay, and you have also the Buffalo Bills, who just came off a huge win against the Dolphins this week. And Buffalo is leaps and bounds better than the Giants right now. Both on the road. So, we'll be facing 1-5 at some point in the next couple weeks. Okay? 1-5 in the NFL is a death knell. Shit, 1-3 is virtually death knell at this point in the league. So this season's cooked. It's over. You know, and the thing is, you know, we now got to revisit the whole Daniel Jones thing and the contract. Should they franchise them? And I'll go back to what I said back in March when they signed that new deal. I didn't defend the contract. Well, let me rephrase that. I would prefer they franchise them, and I said that even back then too. The reason why I defended the contract, the reason why I thought the contract was not as bad as I thought it was this. Was that, let's assume Daniel Jones actually had a good year this season. Okay? Now that $40 million is going to cost you $50 million, given the way the market's going for quarterbacks. So they got ahead of the market about a year. But you also are betting on Daniel Jones getting better. I mean, last year he was okay. He was good enough because of the way they used him. This year he's regressed back to the old guy prior to 2022. Right, 2022, right. So, you know, yes, obviously it's bad. You're paying $40 million for 4 years, $160 for 4 years. However, as I told you guys back in March, the reason why this contract did not bother me is that there's an opt-out after year 2. They can get out this deal after year 2. He'll get all his money in his first 2 years. So it's essentially a 2-year contract. You're really paying him 2 years, $82 million, or the fuck it is for 2 years, the first 2 years. It doesn't matter. Okay? So it's a 2-year sample, not a 4-year contract. So the Giants, if they don't see any progress between now and the end of 2024, they can get out of that contract and start fresh. Okay? So it's not necessarily the death deal that people thought it was. You know, these contracts they see in the public, 4 years, 160, yes, but when you go into the language, you go into the actual nuts and bolts of the deal, it's really a 2-year deal. That's why I defended it. It's essentially a backwards franchise tag, essentially. Okay? But what really is 1 extra year. This team was unprepared last night. That's on Brian Daboll. Yes, I defend he was coach of the year last year, but he's been shit this year. Let's keep it real, okay? I'll call it like I see it. He's been shit this year. Daniel Jones, he had a solid year last year. I didn't hate the contract. He's been shit this year too. The defense has been kind of meh. Saquon's hurt, obviously. You lose left tackle Andrew Thomas last week, rather. It's been a rough year, but this team is fucking terrible. This is a bad season. Put it behind us. It's over. My guess now is that you hope Daniel Jones somehow, some way between now and the end of the season, whether or not the season ends in a disaster record of 5 wins or whatever it may be, or maybe they find a way to get back in the wild card race. You find a way to get better, but through these first 4 games, man, and again, 4-game sample is a solid sample. By 4 weeks in, you have a solid kind of idea how good your team is. I have no hope for this team this year. And look, call me a bad fan all you want. I don't give a shit. They look fucking terrible. And I call it like I see it. When they're good, I'm going to praise them. When you're bad, I'm going to tell you like it is. Just that simple. So, the 2023 New York Giants are officially cooked. Until next one.